Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm just going to be doing a handover video on this Elddis Autoquest. It's a Autoquest 155. So obviously a lot bigger than a lot of the smaller ones. There are sort of 115s, 100s, things like that. Bit of an unusual, rare layout inside the vehicle as well, which we'll get to when we get there in just a minute. So I'm going to start off here under the bonnet. We're obviously based on the Peugeot Boxer chassis, and the weight is 3.5 tons, so you can drive on any car license. The white colour on the cab and actually throughout towards the back of the vehicle as well is Fiat 249, so that's the name of this white colour. Fiat Ducato, Peugeot Boxer, Citroen Relay are all the same vehicle. They use all the same colours, hence why it's a Fiat colour. So on the left hand side on the bonnet we've got the washer fluid, power steering fluid and engine coolant, brake fluid and engine oil. Your engine oil dipstick is the yellow topped one just down here at the front, and so that's all of your sort of levels and consumable bits and pieces all tucked over there on the left hand side. Over towards the right we've got the air filter inside this box here, and because the engine battery itself sits underneath the floor in the cab, you've got access to a positive terminal here and a negative terminal just here. So if you needed to jump start the vehicle, you've got those two prongs there under the bonnet. So onto the near side front. If I open up the passenger door, you see here you've got the bonnet release handle just inside the door. Your jack and wheel brace kit is just here underneath the passenger seat. And both of these front seats swivel round on the factory fitted swivel bases. You've then got just behind that the diesel filling point. You will need the ignition key to get that open. Bodywork on the vehicle, very, very nice. So you've got a really nice shine to the paintwork there. Milenko slide lock just here as well, so you can slide that over the door when you want it to be double locked. So the first locker we get to on this near side is going to be the gas locker down here. So you've got, this is quite a standard Elddis gas locker. They are a little bit tight when you want to have 2 of these 6 kilo propane bottles in here, but you have got space for them. So at the moment we've just got this one full bottle in here. To turn it on, we go anti-clockwise round to the left, and to turn it off, we go clockwise all the way down round to the right. Other than that, that's about all you need to know really for the gas locker. So you see there all the stickers in good nick. You have got an awning light above the door just there. The switch for that is this one just up here that you can see there on the video. The step is an electronic step, so you've got a switch just inside here which will work that step really nice and easily. Okay, so we've got an external aerial socket just here on the outside of the vehicle, so if you had an external aerial that you wanted to plug into that, you can do that from there. So we've also got the Fiamma F45 wind out awning. So you've got the ability on that one, you've got the ability to put a drive away awning, sliding it onto the little rail that you might be able to see just here. The little line that you can see there on the front of the awning is a rail for a drive away awning. You will need what's called a Touring Connect kit to actually connect that up, but there you go, you've got the option of that there. So just towards the back of the vehicle inside, you've got this, which is like the bathroom area here. So the only locker that I need to show you on the outside just here is this one, or these two. So the one at the top just here, this is our flush fluid reservoir. So this is where your pre-mixed pink fluid goes inside, and that'll basically just allow you to use the flush inside the toilet. So that's where your flush fluid goes into. To lock that up, I'll just show you. Basically, if I can get the right key in my hand. So as you can see at the moment, this little lock here is facing towards us. So that's in its locked position because that's the only way you can take the key out. All right, so if I just pop the key in, I'll twist this round so it's facing the other way now. It will then close all the way up, back to where it was, and take the key out. That's now locked in position. If I want to unlock it, round to the right, pull it down, and there you go. So that's how you use that little lock there. Underneath that, we've got the actual toilet cassette locker. So the toilet cassette itself, this is a Thetford toilet cassette. So to take it out, we lift up on the little yellow tab and pull the entire thing towards us. Once you've got it to here, you'll then be able to take it all the way out, and then that's when you can sort of walk it over and empty it out. So to actually empty it, you empty from this little yellow cap on the end here, so you unscrew that. You'll then notice when you, well, sorry, first off, whilst you're draining it out, hold down the little yellow button just there at the back. But that's it. Once you've drained it out and you need to fill it back up with a little bit of blue fluid, you'll notice that when you've got this cap off, I'll show you, the cap itself is actually a measuring cup as well. So basically just fill that entire thing up with blue fluid and then pour it in, give it a little swoosh about, and then push it all the way back home. And that's it. That's all you got to do with that. Right, as you can probably see down here, you've got some water coming out. This is our wastewater drain off point. So any water that goes down any sink is going to be coming out through this tank. So that's your draining point just there. Obviously at the moment it's in its open position. You can twist that little dial there, not 180 degrees, and it will say closed on the top, and that will stop it from coming out underneath the van. But I'll leave it open for now because we just want to drain it out completely before collection. So at the back of the van, you've got your reversing camera up there, just below the centre brake light. You've also got a tow bar on the back of this vehicle as well. So it looks like a fairly new one, if I'm honest. It's not got the date written on it, but yeah. So having a tow bar on a motorhome is a really big plus side, because it means that, you know, well, first off, it's not going to, if you were to reverse into something, obviously you don't want that to happen, but if you were to do that, it's going to be the tow bar that gets the brunt of the damage, rather than all the fiberglass and stuff that you don't want to be damaging on the motorhome itself. So a lot of people do it for that reason, or just towing little trailers or something like that. But there you go, you've already got that there. So we've got loads of storage in this locker at the back just here. This is all storage for underneath the bed, so you can get to that from inside. All the original carpets are just there as well, and the filling point for your fresh water. So I'll run you through that in just a minute. I'm just going to chuck this down here for now. I'll show you how that works in a minute. So these two vents just here, these are both to do with your fridge. So if you've got the fridge lit up on gas, like I do at the moment, you can feel hot air coming out through this top right hand side of this vent. So essentially just meaning that you can double check that it's definitely working and definitely on by doing that. You will also get, depending on what time of year it is, you'll get a little bit of condensation forming just up here above that, so that's completely normal. But yeah, these are basically just both access points for the back of the fridge, so if you ever needed to get to it for any reason, you can do that from there nice and easy. This vent just here, this is our boiler vent, so if you've got the water heater on, you will also get condensation forming up either side of this, but you can double check that that's definitely working by putting your hand like this. You have also got a winter cover for the boiler here, so this just hooks over the top and then tap it on there like that, and that'll allow you to cover the boiler vent up for winter. Underneath that, we've got your freshwater drain off point, so you can see that's in its closed position at the moment. So if I was to turn that 180 degrees, all the fresh water from the tank would drain out onto the floor. Next door to that, we've got your freshwater filling point. So that's what this little pump here is for. So you've got this little hose basically with a pump on the end of it. So the idea behind this is that you've got a positive and negative prong inside here on both sides, and that will meet up and touch on these sides here, which essentially what that does is it powers this little pump that's sat on the end of it. So when you want to fill up your fresh water, you pop that in just there like that. You see, you can hear the pump like that, and basically what that'll do is when you plug that in, it'll suck the water through here So basically you need like a roll-away tank or something out here with water. Plug that in, drop it into the tank, and that'll suck the water through and into the fresh tank. So it's something that mainly caravans do, but a lot of these Elddises do that as well. It's quite normal. Last locker on the offside here is your leisure battery, which is this one here, and your electric hookup point just there. So the idea behind these lockers is that you can have the hookup plugged in and still run it down this little gap just here in the locker and close the locker completely up. So you can still have the cable plugged in and working with the locker completely locked. So that's your hookup point just there on the left. As I say, this is your leisure battery. But yeah, there you go. So really good access to the leisure battery there. And that's about it really. That's all the lockers on the outside of the vehicle. So if I just jump in the cab, you see here, so the cab itself is a fairly basic layout, to be honest. They're always really quite simple to use, I find. So on the steering wheel itself, you've got some functionalities here, all to do with the radio. So you've got mute, up and down volume, skip, and then you've got a source button there as well. You've got lights and indicators on the left-hand stalk just here. Washers and wipers are on the right. You've then got your electric adjusting mirrors from this little joystick thing here. So you just select which mirror you want to move and then move this around like a little joystick. All your heater controls are just here. So again, really simple to use from there. The original Peugeot head unit just there as well, obviously all working well as well. Reversing camera up there at the top, so that just comes on with the ignition. Couple of USB, 12 volt sockets over there, and you have got this blind here as well. So if you pull this all the way up, it will come up here and hook over these, basically. All right, so that's about it really for the cab. I don't think there's much else to show you. The seats in the front, I'll just zoom in a little bit. These little handles here are for swiveling the front seats. So if you do want to swivel the front seats around, pull this way, and then the seat will swivel around wherever you want it to go. Okay, so probably a bit more interesting now. I'm going to show you what we've got in the back end of the vehicle. It's obviously important to know, you know, what's going on with all the lockers on the outside and things, but really this is where the bulk of the video is going to be. So I'll get started here. As soon as you walk in the habitation door, we've got this sort of area of switches and buttons and things here on your right. So the main one for all of this really is going to be this one here at the bottom. And before I even show you that, I'll just point out to you that all these Elddises have got this little black switch just here next to the habitation door. So this is a main 12 volt isolator for the leisure battery. So if you were going to get out of the vehicle and you wanted to sort of just double check that your leisure battery is going to be you know, not draining any power or anything like that, turn that switch off, and that is a complete isolator for your leisure battery. So in other words, if you get into the vehicle one day and find that you can't get anything to work on 12 volt, just double check that switch is turned on. Once that's turned on, you'll be able to use this control panel just here. So this is a really simple little control panel. Again, this is the sort of one that they use on pretty much all of these Elddises of this year. So all you've essentially got is aux and vehicle on the right. So this is your battery selector. So if we're up on aux, that means we're using the leisure battery. So aux is auxiliary, meaning leisure battery. If I went down to the bottom to vehicle, that means that now anything that we use in the back end, so if we turn some of these lights on, for example, pop those lights on there, currently now those lights are being powered by the vehicle battery. Okay, so for the most part we're going to want to be up here on aux, so that now these lights are being powered via the leisure battery. So the whole idea of the leisure battery is that you can use power in the back end of the vehicle without draining out your engine battery. So, you know, if you're in the back of the vehicle and you want to use your lights and you want to use your ignitions and blah blah blah, you need to be up on aux. So I'll leave that on aux for now. All the time that you've got a battery selected as well, it's also going to be showing you the voltage in that battery. So you look at the top scale there. So the battery we've selected is aux, that's the leisure battery, and we're on 12.5 volts. The middle button just here that says water. So you've got another scale underneath the voltage scale there that says water. So if we just press and hold on this, so it's telling us that the fresh tank is full of water. So that's just how you check the water level in your fresh tank. If the waste tank becomes full and you need to empty it out, you should get a little red light come on here. And all the time that the pump is running, you should get a little green light coming on here. So the pump is the last switch just here. So if you want to turn the pump off, press it to where it is now. If you want to turn the pump on, press it to where it is now. Once you've turned the pump on, you can come over to the sink and just double check that you're at pressure. So that's one of the most important things to do in the motorhome. It might not seem it or sound like it's very important, but it really is. So before you start trying to light the boiler up and stuff like that, you do just need to double check that the boiler is actually full of water. So to do that, it really is as easy as turn the pump on, assuming that you've got water in your fresh tank. This is, turn your pump switch on, come over to the sink and just draw the water through on the cold side first. So we've got good pressure, there's no air coughing out at us or anything nasty happening. Turn it to the hot. A little bit of air coming through, but not very much. And then we've got good pressure again. So I can now turn that tap off. And I now know for an absolute fact that we're up to pressure and the boiler is full. So the reason that I know that is as simple as this. It's basically the fact that the boiler is first in line for the hot water side of the water system. So if the boiler isn't 100% full, it will fill itself up first before any water comes through this tap on the hot side. Okay, so as soon as water starts coming through nice and clearly like you just saw there, you can know that the boiler is definitely full. So the boiler itself, just have a little look in here. So the boiler itself has got a little yellow tab. So that little yellow tab down there that's laying down flat is your boiler drain off point. So if you wanted to drain the water out from the boiler, all you have to do is lift that tab upright and all the water that's inside the boiler will drain out onto the floor. So the only reason you would ever really do that, the sort of point in it, is to winterize the vehicle. So if you wanted to drain all the water out from all your sort of appliances and things, lift that one up there as well, and that'll stop any water from staying inside the boiler and freezing up. So obviously, you know, the boiler sits inboard, you know, it's inside the vehicle. So really, especially in the UK, it's pretty unlikely that it will get so cold that the boiler actually freezes up inside. But all of your you know, pretty much every single year that we get through to winter here, we go around and drain out every single vehicle of all of its water, because every now and again you will get down to that sort of temperature where things inside the vehicle will freeze, and the last thing you want to freeze is the boiler. So in all honesty, the boiler is probably one of the most expensive parts in the vehicle, so you want to look after it. So just by making sure that you drain that water out before you leave it over winter is really important. Even better than that is if you if there's any way of you keeping the vehicle warm, obviously you don't have to do that, but just to drain out everything, if you want to winterize a vehicle completely, lift up that boiler drain, lift up all of your taps so that they're in the open position, and open up both of your drains on the outside as well, fresh and waste, and that should in theory stop anything from freezing up. Yeah, I've got a whole video on the YouTube channel about how to winterize your vehicle, so if you wanted to look at that, it might be helpful as well. But yeah, there you go. Next door to that, just whilst we're here, we've also got this other little box here as well. So this is your power supply unit. So basically what you've got on the left hand side is you've got a row of 12-volt fuses. All right, and it does tell you what size and what they do for each one. So it says, you know, if you, for example, if you turn the pump on one day but it wouldn't work, have a little look there. You can see that pump there, you can see it should be a 10 amp fuse, which it is, and then you can just check that if you want to. So really simple how you can double check things on these. Next door to that, we've got your 240 volt trip switches. So if you plug the hookup cable into the vehicle one day and found that nothing was working on mains, you can have a little look in here, and it also tells you which trip does what. So there you go. Right, that's all of that covered down there. It's quite an important little cupboard. So yeah, that's the control panel. Once you've turned the auxiliary battery to on, and you can see that you've got voltage just there in the battery, you should then be able to go around and just use any light. Your ignitions should spring to life, and any 12-volt sockets that you might have. So these sockets here are 12 volt. In the TV compartment, you've got a 12-volt socket in there. So yeah, that's kind of the idea behind it. Once you turn your power on up there, you should then have access to using any of the lights and things inside the back of the vehicle. So the layout in here, like I was saying outside, is a little bit, as I say, it's a bit unusual. You don't tend to see these particular layouts very often. So you've got these two side settees in the front, which is always something that I've quite liked. I've always liked this sort of side settee dining area that also makes up into a really, really good sized double bed. So all you have to do is pull these together to the middle, use the back cushions there as well once you've pulled these to the middle, and that makes up your massive double bed there. So it's a really, really good size. Obviously, if you want to use the front seats, you can swivel those round and you can have your full-size table in here in the middle as well. So you've got a massive dining area. So yeah, really cool layout in here. Good sized kitchen here as well. You do have the ability, if I just show you this, you do have this here. So that's kind of the unusual part of the layout that I was saying about. So you've got the ability here to fold this piece down, and it actually makes a really good solid bit of worktop. So you could, if there wasn't somebody in the bed here, at that particular time, you can have this extra piece of worktop laid out like this, and yeah, so it's just a really cool little feature. I've not seen it before, I must admit. I think this must be specific to this layout. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty certain that it is. So anyway, I'm going to start running you through some appliances. So I'll start down here with the fridge, and then I'll do the oven and blah blah blah. So the fridge itself is a Dometic fridge, and it's a 3-way fridge. So essentially just means that I've got some the vents to go back in here, the shelves to go back in a minute. So the fridge itself works 3 different ways. So you've got the option of gas, which we're selected at the moment, 12 volt, which is for when your engine's running, and 240 volt, which is for when your electric hookup is plugged in. So the 2 ways that will get this fridge cold initially are either gas or 240. Okay, so they're the only 2 ways that will get the fridge cold from warm. The 12 volt is purely just for whilst you're driving, just to switch it over to 12 volt, and all it does is it holds the temperature inside the fridge whilst you drive. So the idea behind that is that you pre-cool the fridge before you leave, either on the mains or the gas, and then switch over to 12 volt whilst you're driving. So if you're hooked up on the mains, it really is as easy as select mains. That's all you have to do. All right, so that is really as simple as that. All of this stuff on the right hand side is to do with the gas. So yeah, if you're hooked up on the mains, select mains, and that's it. If you've pre-cooled the fridge and you want to keep the fridge cold whilst you're driving, just select 12 volt. Again, that's all you have to do. But if you want to light the gas up, there's a little bit of a process to it. It's really simple, but I'll just show you how you do it as well as the rest of them. So we go down to gas. We then push in on here and press our piezo igniter. You can see there straight away, the little orange bar is going up to the green. So as long as, when I let go of this switch just here, the little orange bar goes up and stays up in the green, that's it. That's definitely lit now. And I can leave that alone. So hopefully that made sense there. Select gas, push in on the valve whilst pressing on the igniter, and then just watch to see if that goes up into the green. So as I said on the outside, you can double check that flame is on by looking on the by putting your hand over that top right hand side of the vent. So yeah, there you go, easy as that. So might have some gas isolators in here, I don't know. Nope. So the next thing is going to be this Thetford oven and grill. So there you go. Gas isolators first of all. If you wanted to isolate the gas from any appliances, you can just basically do that by turning those 90 degrees. The oven and grill, basically the three burners at the top as well all work from this one ignition switch. So if you want to light the grill up, you basically just press and hold on the igniter whilst pushing in and round to the left on this one. If you want to light the oven up, same goes, igniter down and then pushing round on this one on the right. Three burners. You know, to be honest with you, I very rarely run through the oven and this whole section because it's just literally just like a household cooker. There's not anything technical about it or different really, but basically just the fact that the one ignition switch here for all three burners, the grill and the oven, so that makes things a lot easier, meaning that you don't have to have, you know, separate ignitions everywhere and stuff like that. I'll just double check I'm not going to miss anything out up there. Okay, so obviously you've got your TV sort of compartment up here, so it's a little bit more easy to access from up here, but the whole idea behind it is that you can sort of watch TV from either side. So if you were in the back end here in bed, you can still watch the TV, you can turn it all the way around and watch it from the back, and obviously same goes for the front. So in the actual TV locker itself, you've got, if I just zoom in a little bit, so you've got at the top there, you've got a 240 volt plug. Next one down is your TV aerial socket, and the one at the bottom is the 12 volt socket. So because motorhome TVs normally have the option of either mains or 12 volt to work, you've got the option of both just there in there as well. So a couple of 240 volt sockets just here in the back as well. You've got two sockets already in here in the kitchen. So if you've got the hookup cable plugged in, you've got lots of sockets to choose from if you wanted to use any of those. I'll pop this back away for now. Literally is as easy as that. Just pop that cover over and then you've got the back end of the vehicle separated. I reckon this is going to be your table. Yep. So your full-size standalone table is just in here as well. Massive, great big cupboard in here. So you've got your awning winder in here. Loads of paperwork for the vehicle and some bits and pieces that the previous owners left behind. So you've got your tilt and turn TV aerial. So that's what this is here. So basically the idea behind it is that you undo this at the top and you'll then be able to push this whole thing up, twist it around, move it around to wherever it needs to be, and get a signal on your telly. You've got the TV aerial booster up here as well, so there's a switch on the top left hand side to turn that on and off. But that's your TV aerial system in there. One thing I will say is just bear in mind, I mean obviously it is covered up with this metal grating here, but this is pretty much the exhaust for your heater. Alright, so you'd be amazed how hot these can get. So please just be careful. But obviously, as I say, they've covered it over. The actual vent itself is metal lined and then wrapped in like a sort of card material, and then this. So you're pretty safe with it, really. But just like to mention that. So you have got a divider for the back end of the vehicle to the front. So you can pull this across, and that will meet up just here. So you see it will lock in position in here like so, and that's how you can separate the back bedroom area to the front. So very, very quick and easy. Slide that back across, and I have to use my other hand in a minute to get hold of that, I think. Yes, so that's your divider there for the back. Nice and easy. So before I move on to the heater, I'm just going to show you how to use the boiler. So you've got back to these sort of switches up here. So these two here, the next one's up above from the control panel. These two are both to do with the boiler. So you've got a 240 volt switch next to both of these, and that's because they correlate to each other. Okay, so you can basically just think of these two together and these two together. All right, so we're going to ignore the top ones for the minute. The middle two here that say Ultra Store. Okay, so Ultra Store is the name of the boiler. So that's how you're going to heat your water up. If you've got the gas turned on and you don't have a hookup plugged in, if you want to heat the water up, you basically just set your temperature on here, so it's between 30 and 70, and then turn the outside dial down once, like so. All right, so straight away, I've just heard that that's just lit straight up. And then after about half an hour or so, we're going to have about 50 degrees of hot water. Okay, so that's how you heat the water up on the gas. If you have got a mains cable plugged into the vehicle, you can heat the water up on the mains, so you can just literally turn this switch on just here. You'll get a little red light come on up there, and it will tell you that the water is heating up via the mains. So you can, you can, if you want to, you can use both of these at the same time. It's not something I would recommend because it's just not necessary. They both work really quickly anyway, so very rarely will you need to use both at the same time. But basically that's the idea behind it. Gas over here by turning the whole dial round once and then select your temperature, or if you've got the mains plugged in, turn that on there. So I'll turn this off for now. So from there, that's the boiler. That's your two controllers for the boiler. Very simple. The heater itself, you can also use this on gas or electric. So these two up here at the top. Now these are both to do with the heating, but these are both to do with the mains side of the heating. Okay, so this one here on the right is the actual selector for the mains on the heating, but it won't work unless you turn that switch on just there. So this switch just here is basically just an isolator for this dial. So if you've got the mains plugged in and you want to heat the van up via the mains, you come up here, turn this switch on, and then come over to the switch on the right. So you've then got the option of 500 watts, 1000 watts, or 2000 watts. Okay, so the idea behind that is that you've got three elements or three different wattages that you can use. And the way it goes is this. So you've got 500 watts, which marries up to about 2.2 amps, 1000 watts, which is about 4.5 amps, and 2000, which is about 8 amps. Okay, so if you've got the hookup plugged in, you just have to bear in mind, if when you go to the campsite, they should tell you how many amps you've got at the plug. So for example, if they only allow you to have 6 amps at the plug, then you're not going to want to use 2000 because you're already going to be over your 6 amps. So that's why you've got the options there of the different amounts. But basically, turn this on and then select a wattage to get the heater to work on mains. Down on the actual heater itself is the way that you use it on gas. So first off, I'm just going to show you that you've got the blown air heating function on here as well. So you basically just select your fan on the left hand side and then select your temperature, your speed from there. Okay. On the right hand side, we've got the actual way that you light it up on gas. So if I just show you how to do that, it's very much the same as the fridge. So you've basically got a gas valve just here. So turn this round to about 2 or 3, and then you'll notice down here, this little hole here is basically like a little peephole for the flame. So all you need to do from there, turn it around to 2 or 3, push down. A bit awkward to do with one hand, but whilst you're pushing down, there you go. You can see the little pilot flame in there. So all I was doing was pushing down on this little piezo igniter. Okay, so I'm just going to hold that down to allow that pilot flame to warm up a little bit. And then all I'm going to do from there is lift up on the little valve and turn it around to about 6 or 7. Turn that up. Then hopefully that flame will stay on. So the reason I say hopefully is because 9 times out of 10, I mean, obviously we've just habitation checked this vehicle, so we've had it on very recently. But if you haven't had the heater on for a little while, when you do that initial turning round from 1 or 2 to sort of 6 or 7, sometimes you'll find that the main flame will try and kick in, but it will struggle to stay lit. So all you need to do in that situation is just push back down again and allow just the pilot flame to come on, and leave it to warm up a little bit longer. And that literally is all you have to do before lifting it back up again. But there you go. So as long as you got a flame inside the little peephole there, you're good to go. And there you go. So turn that all the way back round to 0 to turn the gas flame off, and we can double check that by looking in there. No flame in there now. And that's it. All right, so towards the back of the vehicle, we've got your bathroom here on the right hand side. So you've basically got sink down here with a storage locker underneath that as well, with your mirror and light switch just here as well. So the light switch does the light inside the bathroom here as well. So basically you've got a really good sized shower unit in here. So you've got this shower curtain which comes all the way around, stopping everything else from getting soaking wet basically. But it's literally just hot and cold, left and right. It's a whale pump, whale tap, sorry. So it's all really good quality kit. To be honest, the toilet is the bit that I actually run through in the bathrooms. The rest of it is literally just hot and cold on the taps. That's, you know, it's self-explanatory really. So the toilet itself, as I said, on the outside, you've got a separate flush fluid reservoir. So when I press this little blue button here, it's going to pump around our flush fluid, which is our pink fluid. Okay. When you want to drain this into the cassette, pull this handle towards us, and that then drains whatever's inside the bowl there into the cassette. Push that handle back, and that's it. That's how you use a toilet. It really is as simple as that. So, bathroom there, very, very simple. Turn the light off. So as I said, on the outside as well, you can get access to the storage underneath this bed just by lifting the bed up. But yeah, so I'm just turn the fridge off now. So I think I've pretty much covered everything. I don't think I've missed anything out. If there is any bits and pieces that you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, just let us know. But otherwise, look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.